Hey there. So, this past weekend, I met up with some friends from my last employer for dinner. We do this once a quarter to stay in touch, which is really nice. And I used to be a healthcare IT analyst, so we're all in healthcare IT. They're still working, so I get to be the organizer. Anyway, we talk about what's going on with our lives, and naturally, they're always curious about how retirement's going for me. And it's really been great. I told them the number one thing I like about it is having zero stress. But then they ask, well, aren't you worried about the stock market and what's happening currently and on the news? They're talking about a recession. Are you going to be okay? Do you regret retiring? And the great thing I can say is, no, I'm not. I'm not worried about it at all. Reason being is I have a couple of things going for me. First, my wife and I own property, so we're getting passive income from our renters. Second, and this is a big one, is before I even thought about retiring, I made sure that I had money set aside in a high yield savings account to help to cover our expenses beyond our passive rental income so we wouldn't have to pull from our retirement savings in a bear market and recovery. I certainly made sure what I didn't do is have to pull from our retirement savings in a downturn, as when you hit a bear market, your assets have shrunk. So then you're selling out of your assets at a discount to fund your retirement. So basically, out of an ever shrinking pot, and it can be really hard to recover from that. The technical term of it is called sequence of returns risk. Now, when I retired at 55 last year, the stock market was doing great. And between 2023 and 2024, wow, my investments made a lot of money, which helped to make my early retirement possible last year. And it's easy not to think about or plan for a market downturn because I think we're always focused on hitting a savings number as a goal. But thank God I did think of this, because if I hadn't and retired, man, I would be so worried right now and be thinking maybe I should go back into the workforce. And that would be a hard pill to swallow, to do that after really enjoying my retirement. The best part, like I said, reducing my stress level to zero and then having to go back into a job that I really was burnt out with. And it would be back to that kind of stress, which at this stage of my life, I have no desire to return to. On top of that, all the politics and the meetings that come along with it. I personally have 4 years of expenses saved up in a high yield savings account. And for me, that struck the right balance for my risk tolerance and what I'm comfortable with in terms of writing out a 1 to 2 year potential bear market and then potentially another couple of years to recover from it. I just can't imagine not having that peace of mind in place. So you're just not at the whims of the stock market, which has been so volatile here, it seems, in 2025. Anyway, if you're watching this and thinking about retiring, I'd make sure you have the cash in place first in a high yield savings account or money market account, some type of safe and liquid assets such as these to override a bear market and recovery as well, because you can't imagine the amount of peace it gives you. After dinner was over with my friends and I was walking back to my car because I'm just naturally paranoid, I asked myself, am I really going to be okay? And I could answer yes, 100%. I've planned exactly for this scenario, so no worries. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. This brand new channel, Early Retired and Real, is just about me sharing what it's like as an early retiree. So you know what it's like before you pull the trigger to do it. And please subscribe for more. And if you did early retire, it's probably nice to watch someone else going through the same thing. Either case, I'd love to hear from you. If you retired early, did you set this up in place before you retired? Or if you're thinking about retiring early, are you making sure you're setting yourself up so that you have peace of mind in a bear market and recovery? Do you also have passive income coming in, or perhaps you're doing some type of side hustle? Again, I would love to hear from you. Truly, I would. And I will do my best to reply to your comments. I also have another channel, Early Retirement Roadmap, where I talk about several topics more in a formal educational style. In fact, my last video titled The 3 Enemies of Early Retirement in 2025 touches on sequence of returns risks that I mentioned here, plus a couple of other things that can sabotage your early retirement portfolio. So check that YouTube channel out or listen to my Early Retirement Roadmap podcast when you're on the go. And I'll put a link in the description of the video that I just mentioned. You can also always go to my website, mikeupland.com, for all of my media, including my blog. Until next time, take care and make the most of today.